What's going on, everybody? My name is Jake. Welcome to The Haunted Beard. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to give you my thoughts and review for Grafted. This is a brand new Shudder original film that just became available coming out of New Zealand. And this one tells a story of a bright but socially awkward exchange student by the name of Wei who takes her craving for popularity to horrifying heights. And Grafted is a body horror film mixed in with a little bit of dark romance just for good measure. And this is a movie that will very easily be compared to The Substance, which I think is fair. There are some comparisons that could be made to that, but I don't think it should be overly compared to that film. I actually found some similarities to movies like Face Off, the John Woo action film from the 90s. They're sprinkled in a little bit of Mean Girls, the Lindsay Lohan movie from the early 2000s, and even something like Reanimator. I think you kind of throw all those movies together and blend them up, you get something like Grafted. And overall, I enjoyed myself well enough with this one. I wouldn't say it blew me away by any means. This is the directorial debut of Sasha Rainbow, and I think for a first film, this is definitely something to be proud of. She does a good job kind of starting the film off with a bang and really giving you a pretty shocking kind of opening scene that really kind of hooks you and grabs you in. So always appreciate that. I really like that. I think also too, she does a good job with the characters. And the main character, Wei, is this very shy and timid girl. She's self-conscious about this mark that she has on her face, which I believe is a birthmark, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, she's just this very timid, kind of lonely, isolated girl who doesn't have really any sort of self-esteem or self-confidence. But she happens to be really smart, and she's this exchange student who is now attending university in New Zealand, and she's taking this science class where she's working on this skin graft experiment so she can use it to cover up some of the marks on her face, but also in hopes of helping other people as well. And so I think the director, who also served as one of the writers on the film, does a good job with the lead character of Wei. She is somebody that, she's just a sympathetic character that you find it easy to root for and get behind. She's a character too that's carrying a lot of just emotional trauma and baggage. And so it's somebody that, again, you want to root for. You understand her motivations and where she's coming from and, you know, why she's doing what she's doing. And so I think it's a pretty well-written and developed character. I also thought the performance was equally good. And so the film starts out pretty strong, getting you to really pulling you into the story and getting you to care about the main character. The first half of the film kind of largely plays out almost like a Mean Girls type of drama as she's in this new place, and they're kind of the popular girls, if you will, that are just pretty awful, and they treat her like absolute garbage. One of the things that felt a little off, though, is that it seemed like the Mean Girls would have fit a little better in a high school setting instead of a college setting. I felt like it would have just rang a little more true based on just kind of their behaviors and actions. Felt a little bit more like high school than college, but it's a pretty minor complaint. Now, once you get to the second half of the film is when the film really shifts gears and becomes more of a horror film, and more specifically a body horror film. And I don't want to give away any specifics as far as, you know, what direction exactly it takes and how she uses this new skin graft experimentation. But I did like the body horror. I felt like, though, with the second half of the film, it really focused more on the horror, which is good, but the story kind of took a little bit of a backseat. I felt like the first half of the film was moving along better, and there was kind of more story there. And then you get the horror stuff, which again is good, but it just felt like there was less story to kind of that was really pulled out of the second half of the film. And so because of that, the second half, it feels a little bit drawn out, and I think some of it is a little bit predictable. And there's a couple things that, given sort of the internal logic that the movie is working with, there's a couple things that kind of don't make sense. And so while my major kind of issues with the movie are largely in the second half of it, I still overall enjoyed it, and there is still some stuff in here in the second half and with regards to the horror that I think are pretty good and I enjoyed. There's a couple kills here that I think are pretty good. Some of the tools slash weapons that are used for the kills are kind of unique and a little bit different, not sort of the typical stuff, and so I appreciate some of the creativity there. This is a film, too, that the body horror works, it's pretty good. Don't go in expecting something like The Substance. This is a film that I think expectations need to be a little bit more moderate, and they're working with a significantly less budget as well. But I do appreciate that. I would say probably 2/3 to maybe 3/4 of the effects, I would say, are practical. And so I think the film should be commended for that. And I think they're pretty good. There is a mixture of some CGI in there, but the majority of it is practical. And so you definitely get, some thumbs up for that, which I always appreciate. And I think they do a pretty good job with it. And then finally, I enjoyed the ending. I thought the ending was pretty good and pretty entertaining, pretty satisfying. And obviously, when you give me a good ending that I enjoyed, it leaves the film with a good taste in my mouth kind of thing. And so overall, it's a pretty good film. It's one that if you've seen the trailer or it looks interesting to you, I would recommend. I think overall, I'm close to a 7 out of 10. I don't know if I'm quite there, but I'm kind of right around there. So I had a pretty good time with it. It didn't blow me away, but I think there's definitely some stuff here to appreciate. And I think for the first 2 films of January releases for Shudder, we had Get Away and now this, Grafted. 2 pretty good films to start off the year, so way to go, Shudder. Keep on doing your thing. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Hit me up down below. Like always, would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you got anything out of this, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.